Okay, Dr. Love coming to you. Finding the perfect relationship is a science. And I know that there's a lot of belief that there has to be, some magic and some energy. And yes, that's true. But I have learned throughout trying and being extremely intentional dating that there are actual categories to qualify what a good relationship is, what will work and what won't work. So I've kind of become the evil scientist here and put everything together in the four main categories. Okay, so category number one. Okay, number one is compatibility. Okay, that sounds kind of obvious. What does that mean? Compatibility is the top because it must be met first in order for the second, third, and fourth layers to even matter or be considered. This is often the most important, and this is the one where, we actually have feelings for someone, we're interested in them, we're attracted to them. This is all up here in the compatibility, area. So there are three main areas in the compatibility. So number one is intellectual bonding. So all three of these areas that I'm about to explain are very important. We're starting with number one, intellectual bonding. What does that mean? Well, that's when you meet somebody and you're really fascinated by them. You're able to have conversations for hours and hours, and you're both at a high intellectual, or rather a matching intellectual capacity, where you're able to talk about all the things going on in your life, big ideas, what's interesting to you, being able to share that, and to have someone that understands what you're saying. So if there's a mismatch in intellectual capability, then we often feel like we need to go search elsewhere for someone to converse with and have deep intellectual conversations with. This is an important area, but by itself, it is no means like the most important or the only one, okay? The second one is probably the most important in modern relationships. And this second key area is the physical, and I call it sensual compatibility area. So we know that's important, don't we? It sounds kind of obvious. We need to be physically attracted to the person we want to be with. We want to feel, if we're looking for an amazing relationship, a lifelong relationship, not just a short fling. That's not what this video is for. This video is for finding your person. Then you need to have a real sensual, energetic connection to your person where in a heartbeat, you are aroused, you are interested in them, and there's a passion. Again, single-handedly, it might be fun. It might actually start a relationship single-handedly. Of all three, this is the one that gets things going. But it is not, by itself alone, it will not lead to a safe, long-term relationship. This is often the easiest to be interested in, the easiest to get started in something with. The third now, extremely important, emotional connection. Without emotional connection, there can be no love. There cannot be a deep bond, which is necessary in order to go through the million hardships that there is in a long-term serious relationship. These three compatibility areas are so integral if you want extremely satisfying relationship, like a high-level relationship. Now, the reason I'm so certain in this is because I have experienced varying degrees of each of these, right? Sometimes it's more of this, but not enough of this. Sometimes it's here, but not enough here, or here, not enough here. And that is often why there's a problem, a big problem in a relationship, is if there are unmet needs, if there are, there's something missing. Yes, it can be within us, and that is an important question to ask and answer. Is it the relationship? Is it the other person? Is it me? Or sometimes it is us, sometimes it is them, and sometimes it's actually the compatibility of you two, of the two people. So I mentioned that this middle one, at least for me, is probably the most important, the easiest, or placed at the highest of importance. But it by itself is not going to lead to a long-term relationship, at least not working out. You need to be able to create an emotional bond. And we often confuse the two, intellectual bonding and emotional connection, right? You might be able to have great conversation with someone, really connect deeply, but there's something missing. You're not necessarily feeling tons of emotion for them. That's the emotional connection part. How do we get that? It could be through shared experience, right? Going through hardship together, living together, growing together, sharing in experiences together. I mean, for me, the way I get an emotional connection is feeling needed as a man, like I'm needed by this person, I'm useful, I'm at service here. Feeling that I'm valued, right? That there's a reason I'm here. And the third one for me personally is being with a partner who's deeply feminine creates an extremely strong emotional bond for me. Intellectually, that's about, can I hang out with somebody? Can I share in my hobbies? Can we enjoy similar things together? It's by itself, it's not the most important, but it does matter. And it matters more to some people than others. For me, the physical, the sensual, and the emotional are so important. They must be at the top, the highest of the level. And of course, I would like to be able to connect with someone on my hobbies, be able to discuss, big abstract ideas. So for me personally, I'm looking for an amazing relationship. I'm not looking for anything mediocre. I'm looking for top tier in all these three areas. So if you do not have enough of these, then it's really hard for you to commit to someone full steam, give all your effort, loyalty, give everything to that person if you don't really feel that the relationship has all the key areas. If you think something's missing and you're hesitant, it's either because you're not ready, there's something that needs to be worked on with you, or your brain is flashing red signals that, hey, we're missing some compatibility here. I need to see it before we can go all in. And many people do choose mediocre relationships where there might be just a little bit here, maybe a bit here, and an okay amount here. And that is honestly what it seems that a lot of people do. From my experience, from talking to people, there are some people that do have a really strong bond, which, those marriages, relationships can last through a lot. And those that don't, they're shallow, more shallow relationships. They're for a reason. They're more practical than really finding someone's soulmate in a deeper reason, right? And a deeper perspective is to find your person, your soulmate, if you believe in that, which I do. Sometimes it's practical for some people, and, to each their own. So the next important area, once you already have compatibility, once that's down, so once compatibility is met and it's strong enough, right? This is an early stage of dating. You're starting to see really good signals. You're thinking, whoa, this could be something. Then this is pretty self-explanatory, but guys, we need reciprocal effort, right? We need reciprocal desire from the other person. Listen, I understand that traditionally, men, we're, chasing the woman, we're putting in effort, and that is absolutely true, that we need to go out there and get what we want and be really aware, like, hey, are they just being classy? Are they being hard to get? Or do they not want us? Like, we need to learn the difference. And you need to be with someone that is putting in reciprocal effort. And sometimes reciprocal effort is just allowing you to continue. Some women, that is their way of showing they're into you. It's just, okay, what's next? Letting you go on, letting you talk, letting you show what you are, what you're made of. But there needs to be a point where you see the person, the woman, open up and start to give her own effort, her own desire for you, right? It can't be one-sided for so long, okay? And that's really important. If you're unsure if a woman is into you, okay, ask your friends, right? Is she into me? Is she playing hard to get? Or is she not into me? Now, This is where it gets more and more practical, right? Because we've met the most important and the hardest, which is compatibility. Okay, now we're having reciprocal effort. They are showing desire. They are reaching out to us sometimes. They are putting an effort in the way they communicate with us. They are showing some cues that they like us, hopefully. Now we're getting more and more practical. Like, will this relationship work? Because the title of this video is that love is a science, that finding your soulmate is a science. Now, we're at time. Are they in the right time of their life? Are they in the same life phase as you, right? There is a sad, you could call it sad, such a thing called right person, wrong time, right? You can find the right person, everything is perfect, you are so aligned, and maybe they're even into you, but it's just not the right time for them. Or often if the effort is missing or the desire, it can also be because the practical things, they're in a different journey. If you met them a year earlier or a year later, maybe you'd be, getting married. But time matters. Where are they? What's going on in their life, right? What's happening? What life events? Are they going through huge changes and they just can't even fathom, committing to a long-term relationship right now? That's valid. That's, sad if that's the reason it doesn't progress, but that's the truth. We're all in a journey. We all got things we got to do. And, personally, I've been trying to keep my heart open, even if I feel that, I got things to do and I have a vision, without sacrificing that, not ignoring a great opportunity when it does present itself. And then lastly is really practical. Location. Location and the feasibility of a relationship. Will it work? What are the distances, right? I've experienced some, long-term relationships, and maybe you've heard, but they can be really tough. They need to be really strong in order for them to last and be successful. But most important with this, this practical perspective or this practical area, there needs to be a plan to geographically align yourselves if you're not already in the same area. You need to have the same vision of where you're going to live, right? What is that going to look like? Where is it going to be? At what time, and how long are you looking to enact that plan? There needs to be, a coming together of a plan. Both these areas, the time and the location, you need to be aligned with your person. So this video is to show that relationships are a science, that we can actually categorize and see what is missing in a relationship, what is making it great, what's making it maybe not so good. When the key compatibility areas are missing in a relationship, or, at the start of a relationship, maybe you just started to date someone and the reason it might not even lead to a relationship is because there are gaps that your body is telling you, hey, something's missing and something's off here, right? On the flip side, in a relationship, if there are acts of betrayal, right, such as cheating, there are two reasons. One, which is often, is that there's something really missing in the person that is, doing these acts. There's something unworked through. There's something that needs to be addressed, accepted, and, quite frankly, vanquished. There's no excuses. You need to work on your shit. The other area is that maybe something is missing in the relationship and, that person is using, whether that's texting someone else, flirting with someone else, emotionally cheating, or physically cheating, trying to fix the gaps in the relationships, try to fix the missing areas through, immoral behavior. This video is meant to serve as a way to categorize things that maybe you've felt or you've experienced in your own dating life, to help you think about your ideas, think about your relationships, to get a little more clearer with what's going on in your life and why it is, right? Why do relationships keep failing in your life? Maybe you've been focusing on one compatibility area and completely ignoring the others, and you keep doing it again and again, right? There's also a trap of like, I have a type, so I'm attracted to my type. It's like, okay, you have a type physically, but is that really creating the strong emotional bond? Or is that, are you able to actually connect with this person intellectually, right? There are so many other areas that need to be addressed. And again, reciprocal effort. Are you in a one-sided relationship, right? Where you're chasing the person and they're not really putting in that effort back. That's a real problem too.